Good afternoon, y'all. Well, who could have imagined another mass shooting in Maryland? 5 people dead this time. Um, I find it awfully. I don't really believe in coincidences. I find it awfully odd, though. No shootings at all that you really heard of for a year. I mean, yeah, there was somebody got shot here and there and died, whatever. Um, but there was no mass shootings until just recently when they started pushing on this gun control. Now, I am unfortunate enough to be in the position that I had a son that was murdered and he was murdered by an evil person, and the tool used was a firearm. The problem wasn't that the evil person had evil intent, because evil people do evil shit all the time. I mean, look over in, I can't breathe this one, I'm mouth breathing. Look over in London and Europe right now. They're having more acid and knives attacks than ever before in history. You know why? Because the guns are too hard to access. But the evil is still there. You can't legislate evil away. So everybody's up in arms about what's going to happen. Just what's going to happen. They're going to ban shit. And here's what I would do. Not telling you what to do. I'm going to tell you what I would do. Hypothetically, of course. I would truly not comply. And anybody that tried to treat you as if you are a criminal, they are the criminal. Keep seeing these posts where people have so much faith in their policing forces. The problem is they don't recognize that their policing forces have been enforcing this shit for a long time. Since at least arguably 34, we can even go back further than that. There's some laws in the 1800s that were unconstitutional, passed against the right to keep and bear arms. Just because it doesn't affect you doesn't mean that it's okay. And people only started to care once things started to affect them. Once it got closer to their doorstep, that's when they started caring. But they're still in the position where they're pointing fingers at the politicians for creating laws. What about the people that execute those laws? What about those guys? Now, before I say this, and y'all have heard it before, I want you to understand how this happened. Over time, our society lost responsibility. It pushed responsibility off on the government. It said, okay, government, you can hire these people to do our job for us, meaning protecting our lives and property, which isn't what the police forces do today by any means, but that was the original intent, sort of. Really, there were just gangs that were extorting the local residents in order to protect them from the people that they made enemies with, and then some outsiders that were immigrating in and then, thieving to try to survive. So over time, though, the society accepted that policing forces are needed. They're okay. Some people try to argue they're constitutional, but they're not. They'll say that the 10th Amendment allows it. No. No one has authority over me in this country. Nobody. If I commit a crime, then the community that I live in, since we're a self-governing society, has the moral obligation to arrest me and punish me. Now, I say community. Now, a cop is not part of the community because he's being paid to do a job. That's not a community member. He has bias. He's a paid state witness. That's what cops are. What I fear is that people are going to keep supporting the thin blue line until the end and keep pointing the fingers at the politicians. There's no such thing as a Democrat or a Republican. There is government. Notice nowhere in the founding documents was it tyrannical left, tyrannical right, tyrannical Democrat, tyrannical libtard, tyrannical Trumptard, whatever the name is. It's tyrannical government. And see, government clouds your mind with all this bullshit to make you think that there is a team up there fighting for you. The truth is that no, they're not. If there was a team, if there was two separate teams in government from local to the top, there would be massive arrests and impeachments on a daily basis. Why isn't there? I mean, the people putting out these, HR 1447 and HR 8, whatever it is, they obviously violated their oath of office, along with dereliction of duty and some other things. So why haven't they been arrested? Where's the Republicans at? Why are they starting impeachment hearings? I mean, we are guaranteed a Republican form of government, and we have a open socialist in Congress, multiple of them. Why haven't they been impeached? I will tell you why again. Because government is government. All that shit's just a show. It's a show to confuse you, to get you wrapped up into it like everybody is today. We're not supposed to support government in the sense like, Yay, go Trump! Yay, go Biden! No, we're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to pick the person that will elect you, that will represent you the best for them to do their job. Take the President of the United States as an example. He's supposed to be the commander-in-chief of the militia, the federal militia, not the state militias. Now, they can't get tied together. It can happen, but only in a time of war, only on our soil. He's also supposed to be a representative of the country. He's not supposed to be an executive in the sense that he can order you to do shit through executive order, which is probably what's going to happen. His executive orders only amount to anything to those who are employed under the executive branch or the federal militia, which we no longer have, which they've tried to say, well, that's the National Guard. The National Guard, no, it's not. National Guard is something totally separate. But you're going to keep seeing these shootings until they get what they want. Even though all the evidence is out there. There's 40,000 deaths a year from gunshot wounds. And every one of those deaths, whether it be suicide, murder, justifiable homicide, whatever it is, each and every one of those deaths is worth freedom. And again, you can't say, well, you wouldn't be saying that if your kid got killed. Guess what? Yeah. My son was murdered November 23rd, 2019, and I'm still saying it. If he had to die or I had to die in order for you to be free and be able to freely exercise your rights, it's worth it. It's a small price. People take their lives too serious, and nowadays that's really the real problem. There's no faith in God or heaven or whatever your religion is. That faith is gone now. So now people fear death. And because of the fear of death, they want to fight, they want to comply, they don't want to go to jail, yada, 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 yada. But they think that their life matters. And realistically, it doesn't. My life matters to me, my wife, and my kids. My parents, family members, but guess what? One generation I'll be forgotten about. Sad fact, but it's a fact, Jack. How many times a year you go visit your grandpa's grave? If you're like most people, 0. You might think about them every now and then, but people take their lives too seriously, and because of that, it's become a nation of cowards. People want to continue to argue that. I had somebody arguing today with me that felons don't have rights. They gave up their rights. I'm like, really? They voluntarily give up their rights? How does that work? They can choose not to exercise them. And then I went through the whole spiel about it. It's ignorance, man. They've blinded us with the bullshit and hid the facts from us all of our lives. In our lifetimes, freedom has been a lie, because you are not free. If you're free to do what you're told, that's called slavery. It's not freedom. If the police forces have authority over you, they can just come up on you at any time, point a gun at you and say, hey, get down on the ground. And your options are die or get on the ground. That's not freedom. They've convinced us what we have is freedom. People become comfortable in their lives and working jobs they hate to buy shit they don't need. We've seen that our whole lives, especially the lower middle class and lower class. That working lower middle class and working lower classes. Everybody. People work jobs they hate to buy shit they don't need. I've needed. My car's been broke down for a month. I threw a couple parts at it, but I've tested everything I could test. I've changed out everything that could have reasonably been the problem. I can't figure it out. So my options are pretty limited, because I can't afford a car note. I'm getting ready to move, and I need every dollar I can get, and a $700 a month truck payment, because now trucks cost $50,000 or $60,000, or even a good used truck. I seen a truck the other day with it was a Cummins. It was a Dodge truck. It was a Dodge, but it was ridiculous. It had 200,000 miles, I think, and they wanted $24,000 or some shit for it. My buddy's truck, it's a F-350. He wants way too much for that thing. The prices of used vehicles have went through the roof recently, because everybody's getting stimulus money and people need vehicles and shit. Well, I'm sorry, I can't do it. But if I buy a vehicle, I need to buy a truck. But I can't afford a truck, so what do you do? I don't know. I don't know what the hell I want to do, to be honest with you. But they're going to keep at it. I've seen somebody say today that Justin, when you order stuff on the internet, he didn't know who I was. I mentioned something on one of Jared's videos about what he said to Johnny and what Johnny repeated, if that's what he said, shows his true colors. Somebody went on to tell me how stupid I am because if I bought things on the internet, I'm just playing with fire. And I explained to him that he does not get it. Justin is in jail for each and every one of us right now. He is doing the time fighting for our rights. Whether you wanted to say it's, freedom of expression, or because they turned it into a right to keep and bear arms issue. Well, either way, he's still in there. He's the one suffering for us, because if he loses this case, if you think it's bad now, they're going to pull you over and arrest you for scratches on your damn F-350 fenders because they look like lightning links. You can say I'm full of shit all you want, but there's a lot of things a year ago, if I'd have told you that would have happened in the last year, you would have shook your head at and said I was crazy. We're going down that path, people. I mean, we are right now, mid-30s over there across the pond. That's about where we're at. We're starting to see that other, well, they've already created other classes. So you have, the felons, the mentally ill, the domestic abusers. They've made all these lower classes. Then they keep record of you, so you never really pay for your crime. You commit a crime, you never pay for it. I know a lot. I happen to know. I grew up with a lot of people that've been in prison. I mean, a lot, probably abnormally amount of people. Probably because a lot of the reason was the way I lived my life in the early years of my life. The vast majority of those guys went to prison, did their time, got out, and moved on with their life the best they could. Now, there are some guys that they just don't have a skill, or prison wasn't the rehabilitation they need, because there's no rehabilitation in correction, I assure you. That's bullshit. They take people that have killed people on accident and they create killers by doing things like giving them 2 decades in jail when the court system didn't prove that they were guilty. Yep, I stood up in front of my son's killer at sentencing and said, it is too much time. If you did not convict him of the crime, you were giving this man too much time. I don't care what he says he did. We all know he killed my son, but why? Did he murder my son, or did he kill my son? If the court doesn't prove that he murdered my son, in my mind, I have to assume that he killed my son. And now we'll never know what happened. I'll never know what happened that day, because it's a bunch of legal bullshit. It's what it is, to be honest with you. If anybody knows a way around it, please tell me. I don't have a lot of money to fork out for it, but I'd love to know a way around it. I would love to know what actually happened to my son. But if my son was doing some stupid shit he shouldn't have been doing, and I don't care if it was about drugs, money, girls, I don't give a shit. And he was killed because he was trying to do some stupid shit like rob somebody or their weed or whatever. Guess what? My son should have made better choices than to rob somebody. And that's just how I feel about it. We don't know, because we're just the family of the victim. All they care about is putting somebody in prison. That's all they care about. They need that slave labor. But anyway, I would expect executive action next week. In all honesty, people are thinking that they're going to ban imports. No. I think that they're going to add all ARs to the NRA, or to the NFA, is what I think that they're going to do. And create a registry. That's what I think they're going to do. They're going to do it by executive action. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter if it stands or not. How many years is it taking for the bump stock case to go through? How long do you think it's going to take for a ban on AR-15s to go through? And like mandatory registration. How long do you think that's going to take to go through? So your options in the meantime are hide your shit well enough that nobody will ever know you have it, which they know you have it, because as soon as they want to create a registry, they'll go looking at 4473s, and they'll come knocking. And when that happens, I wouldn't answer the door, because when you answer the door, you open yourself up for a lot of things. The best thing you can do, in any case, if somebody comes knocking at your house, is say, I will not, and you have to say these words, because the Supreme Court has found that if you say, I might need a lawyer. Ooh, man. Do I need a lawyer? Oh, man. Maybe my lawyer should be here. None of that is exercising your right to an attorney. It's not invoking your right to have an attorney present. You have to specifically say, I will not answer questions without an attorney present. Can I please call my attorney? That's what you have to say. So you remember that shit. Because, they will get you talking. They do this for a living. They're liars. They're liars and thieves, dude. They're as bad as rapists in my mind. For multiple reasons. And there's a special place in hell for all of them. They take an oath to something they don't understand. And the position they're taking the oath for is 100% unconstitutional. There's no way about it. And again, citing it where in the Constitution we allow for government to have complete authority over the people through policing forces. And it wouldn't make much sense for, number one, the founders had just fought the largest policing force in the world, the British. And yes, they were the policing force. Yes, they were also the military force, but they were the policing force at that time because King George thought the colonies were still his. Yeah, that's a fact, Jack. All the grievances the founders had with King George before claiming independence was enforced by who? The Redcoats. But people just don't want to recognize it today. The police are the modern day Redcoats. They've tricked you into believing that they take an oath that means something when it doesn't. The oath is to the state, and we see that all around us every day. They use our money to buy equipment to make them superior, for training to make them superior, for ammo, for up armored vehicles. The Fed bribes them with money, and they take the money, therefore they have to enforce the law. It's a big game, and we're all being played. The lower 99% is being played. I'm sorry for rambling on. I just get pissed about this shit, and I see where it's going. And if they were to, let's say they were to, by executive order, say, okay, there's a registry, all ARs are now NFA items, you must pay a tax stamp, or even if they say, well, we'll give you a tax stamp. What's going to happen? I would say that 70% of people will comply. 10% of people will bury their guns, put it in a wall somewhere where it's never going to be found. That's 80%. Another 10% will just kind of go on like life never happened, randomly getting picked up. And then there will probably be, I don't know, there'll be a small portion that just flat out doesn't comply. Because, see, they don't have to. They really don't have to outright ban them. I mean, yeah, so I guess, I don't know. And like I said, that we all know it's a lie. 40,000 people a year die. 60% of that's suicides. The actual number of people that are murdered each year with a firearm that had nothing to do with their death at all. Nothing. So they wake up, they're going to work, and bam, bullet hits them. That kind of death, they just, or just for some reason somebody shoots them. It's less than 1,500 annually. That's a fact. That's a real number. Go look it up. I think in 2017, I think it was almost 1,600. By rifles every year, I think last year was 300, or 2018 is the newest, or 2019, I'm sorry, is the newest statistics out. By all rifles. Now you have to think about this too, because a shotgun with a rifle barrel is considered a rifle. Then you have all your long rifles, not just ARs, all long rifles. Was just over 300 people. How many people were really killed with AR-15s? Fuck, less than 50. And I feel bad for their deaths. I feel sorry for their family, but each one was worth it. What isn't worth it is that they couldn't protect themselves because of the laws. They create laws to make you a victim in order to enact further control on you. It's a dangerous game.